Jesus told us 2,000 years ago that our mission is to go and make disciples of all nations. He also promised us that only after we accomplish that task will we receive the blessing of His return. So, how are we doing accomplishing our mission? To answer that, let's classify the 7 billion people on the earth today into 3 groups. Let's start with the Christians. About 33% of the world's population would identify itself as Christian. We call this segment of the population World C, C for Christian. It's important to remember that not all of the people that fall into World C are true believers in Christ. They merely identify themselves as Christian because of nominal belief in Jesus, or because they live in a country where everyone is considered Christian, so they would do the same. Next, there's the 38% of the world that has access to the gospel but has chosen not to follow Jesus. They have Bibles in their language, churches nearby, friends or co-workers who are potentially Christians, or access to other Christian resources in their language. These people have access to the good news, but just haven't acted on it yet. This segment of the population is called World B. That leaves us with 29% of the world, just over 1 out of every 4 people on this planet who not only have never heard of Jesus, they have no chance of hearing the good news of Jesus Christ. They have no access to the gospel, no Bibles, no churches, no believers nearby, no chance to learn about Jesus. We call that 29% World A. Now on to missionaries. Only 1 out of every 1,800 Christians in World C decides to serve as a cross-cultural missionary. So, we can pull 400,000 missionaries out of that World C population. That's our total cross-cultural missionary force worldwide. Did you know that 72% of all our missionaries are going to World C? That's right. The vast majority of the missionaries being sent out are going to the people of the world that have Bibles and established churches. 25% of the missionaries are sent to World B, where there is already some access to the church and to the Bible. That leaves only 3% of the total missionary force to handle all of World A, the section of the population without any chance of hearing about Jesus. 29% of the world has no way to hear the gospel, but we're sending only a tiny portion of our Christian workers to them. What about finances? Annually, all those Christians in World C earn a total of $42 trillion. And, together, they give about $700 billion to Christian causes each year. That includes everything: Christian nonprofits, churches, youth programs, missions, etc. Can you do the math? Less than 2% of Christian income is being given to Christ's causes. Out of that $700 billion given to all Christian causes, only $45 billion is given to missions specifically. That's a little over 6%. In fact, there is more money reported embezzled from the church each year than is given to missions. Remember those 400,000 missionaries? We have $45 billion to support them and their cross-cultural work. But how exactly is it allocated? Well, $39 billion goes to World C every year. Yep, 87% of that missions money is being spent in areas of the world that have Bibles and churches available. $5.4 billion, or 12%, goes to World B each year, those that have access to the gospel message but have rejected it. That leaves only $450 million, or 1% of all missions money going to World A, the least reached people of the world. To put that into perspective, annually Americans spend more money on Halloween costumes for their pets than gets sent to World A. To summarize, only 3% of our missionary force, armed with only 1% of missions giving, is going out to reach the 2 billion people who don't have access to the gospel. 2 billion people are still waiting for the good news of Jesus Christ. So here's a question for you. What are you going to do to change that?
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po ay mabati na sa inyo dyan po sa Christian Bible Baptist Church Kalita, maging sa family po ni Pastor Mike Nabo. Magandang araw po, Pastor. Ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa Panginoon na maging bahagi ng inyong gawain. At salamat din po sa privilege para sa patotoo na ito. Dumadalangin na maging hamon ito sa mga kapatiran po dyan sa CBBC Lenta. Guys, kung pong ipatotoo, ito po pandemic na nangyari po sa amin. Bagamat nagkaroon po kami ng tayo ng crisis, no, pandemic. Nung bago mag-pandemic ay actually we are growing in numbers, but then nung dumating yung pandemic, ang lahat ng tao po ay halos nawala sila. At nung pandemic na yan ay hindi po kami tumigil sa pangangaral ng salita ng Diyos. Maraming naapektuhan, mananampalataya, pamilya na nawala ng trabaho. Ang attendance namin nung nagbalik ang pananambahan ay talaga namang bumaba po kami. So, from 60 to 50 attendance namin dati ay bumaba yan ng 15 to 10 attendance. But then, ang naging blessing ko ay ang simbahan at ang manggagawa ng Diyos ay naturuan tayo mag-soul winning. So, kami po yung soul winning lamang, kahit pandemic, soul winning, kami mag-asawa, soul winning, until the Lord added in the church ng mananampalataya, nadagdagan ang mga pamilya, naligtas, kabataan. From 10 attendance sa biyahe ng Diyos, ng Diyos, ay naabot namin muli ay nakapanumbalik kami sa 40 attendance. But we are praying na mag-doble kami. At ito'y nakapangyari after ng mag-evangelistic kami ng anniversary with 21 January. So sa mga bawat barangay, nagkaroon kami ng mga evangelism. At nagkaroon kami in total na pinagsama-sama namin yung 4 na session ng evangelism for 2 weeks. Ay nagkaroon kami ng attendance na visitor na 167 and with the baptism of 14 baptism. No? At sa biyaya ng Diyos ay nag-Bible study at ayun po ay nakapagpatuloy sila. At bagamat yung iba ay hindi pa ganun sila kalago o nino, but then we are still praying na makagano sila. As of now, nag-attendance kami dito ng we are praying ng 80, naabot namin yun. Then bumaba ulit, 60. Ang pinaka-regular namin ay 50 plus. Then at 60, 70. Kasi because of the work, yung iba, isa nalalayo. Pero yung iba naman ay pagka po nakakabalik din. Sa biyaya ng Diyos, na-revive ang mga member na sama sa soul winning, naging involved sa gawain. Salamat sa Diyos, nadagdagan ng mga young people na umaawit sa choir. At meron kaming mga naturuan din sa piano. 3 sila na nag-aaral. Salamat, nakatugtog na. 3 nagpa-violin. Salamat sa Panginoon. Salamat din sa Panginoon na binigyan na rin kami ng kasama na nanunundok. So may mga member po tayo na may tricycle. Praise God for that. May 3 tricycle na nanunundok para madala dito sa church. At salamat din sa Panginoon na meron kami mga ilang pangailangan, kagaya po ng aming speaker, makapagpalit kami ng speaker, microphone, guitar, no, at ceiling fan ng gabi. And then naglagay din kami ng Sunday school room para sa mga bata. At ako'y nagpapasalamat sa CBBC Kayunta na naging bahagi rin po kayo ng aming gawain. Salamat po sa inyong suporta at panalangin sa amin. Salamat kay Pastor Man. At patuloy niyo po kami panalangin kasi we are praying na magkaroon talaga kami sariling lote kahit yung maliit lang. Pagkat medyo may kamahalan po ang aming pagpupa rito, we are praying na kahit na 200 square meter, makakuha po kami ng lote. Sama niyo po sa panalangin ng mga member, nagkaroon kami ng commitment para po dito. At na ang bawat isa po ay makapag-involve at maibigay ang kanilang commitment. No? At ako'y nagpapasalamat din po sa Panginoon sa biyaya ng Diyos ay tuloy-tuloy po ang gawain. May mga bago kaming area sa Solwini. Bagamat mahigpit pero hindi po nawala ang pangaral ng salita. God bless you all po. Salamat sa Church ng Kainta at kay Pastor